Guys, it is a beautiful day. I went to work, got off by 1 p.m., so I have the whole afternoon ahead of me. The weather's beautiful in Arizona. I'm not sweating my butt off, so I'm happy about that. I deep cleaned my apartment and made my bed this morning. It is a great day. It's gotta be a crime looking that good. My name's Noah. I'm 24 years old and literally all of my life is on the internet. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would mean the world to me. I love sharing my life with you guys. I love creating content and I love that others love it too. Today we're just gonna jump right into this video because there's a lot to cover here, and we are talking about Bible college. For those of you that don't know, I attended a Bible college for 3 years. 2 of those years were in Sydney, Australia. 1 of those years was here in Phoenix, Arizona. The other day I put up a poll on my YouTube page and I asked what videos others would be interested in seeing. And the winner of that poll was pros and cons of attending a Bible college. Now, I have a lot of friends and family who have attended Bible colleges. A lot of people who I know from high school, a lot of people who I met at Bible college, a lot of people who I just met through church, things like that, who have all attended different Bible colleges across the world. And so I thought in order to do this video properly, I went to Instagram and created polls for people to respond to. On that poll, I asked 2 questions. One of them was, what are the pros of attending Bible college? And the other was, what are the cons of attending Bible college? Now, the response I got was overwhelming. In all honesty, I didn't expect a lot of people to respond or slide up like I did, but I was receiving text messages, paragraphs, responses, I was receiving calls, all sorts of things. After writing down some of my thoughts of the pros and cons and combining the thoughts of others who have responded on my stories, I thought it would be best to share these with you today. So without further ado, this is the pros and cons of attending Bible college from a Bible college graduate. Now, I hate to start off on a sour note, but I always like to end on a positive note, so I'm actually going to cover all the cons first, and then at the end I'll cover all the positive parts about attending a Bible college. I just want to reiterate before diving into this that a lot of these are responses from other people. A lot of them I agree with, some of them I kind of teeter on the edge of, so I'm going to try to remain neutral. But these responses are a majority of people who have attended, so I don't want to just give my only opinion. I want to give like the majority of the answers I received. Let's get into it. One of the first cons I saw in attending a Bible college has to do with the bubble. Now hear me out, that sounds kind of weird. Bear with me a second. In attending a Bible college, a lot of people mention this idea of the bubble that you kind of get stuck within. That is church, college work, and home. Basically, it's this idea that you're so consumed in what you're doing that you're almost separated from reality. You're constantly within church services, chapels, college classes, church on a Sunday, and then community groups that are based from within the church outside of that. Some comments that I saw in the poll were, you're always surrounded by the same type of people, or it can become cliquey and clicks and clicks and clicks. Some people mention that because of this bubble that you're within, it's hard to find people who will challenge your way of thinking. Others mention the fact that it's hard transitioning out of Bible college because you're so consumed within this bubble, and the moment you leave it, you're in a whole different reality. And I can actually agree to that to an extent. It is very easy to get trapped within this bubble in a Bible college. You're wrapped up in the community, you're consumed in academics and church, and that's not necessarily a bad thing altogether, but it can be if you never stretch outside of that. Another comment I saw was someone saying 10 plus services a week is not reality. In some instances, you're involved in 3 chapels a week, and then you have youth or young adult services that you're serving in, or you have services on a Sunday and it could be 3, 4, 5 sometimes, and then following the next Monday it's a repeat of the same thing. I do believe there are ways that you can avoid falling into this bubble. For instance, just saying no to some things and taking care of yourself. You don't always have to be serving 24/7 within a church context or within college or whatever that looks like. Having a job outside of college, making friends in the community, not being a weird Christian who outcast themselves from everyone else. There are probably endless things I could say. The second con I saw in attending Bible college from this poll was the academic side of it. In a lot of Bible colleges, you see this 2 to 3 year program that doesn't actually get you a degree by the end of it. It could either be a diploma, a certification of some sort, or maybe like an associate's. There are some Bible colleges that are like actual 4-year colleges where you will get like a bachelor's in ministry or a bachelor's in theology or whatever. I received a comment that said the degree/diploma is essentially worth nothing outside of a church context, even if skills are relevant. I agree in the sense that society obviously they want to see a bachelor's, they want to see a master's, especially in America, they want to see that degree. But I also believe in some contexts that the skills are necessary and are enough to get a job in a different field. Another person said you're limited in what you can do. It's got to be ministry, basically. Meaning if you're going to go to a Bible college, then you can really only take that certification or degree or whatever into a ministry field. So if you want to be a pastor, it's great. If you want to be a preacher, it's great. If you want to work within a church, it's great. But if you want to come and develop skills and then work in a different field outside of a ministry context, then it's not so great. Someone even mentioned that you're not going to get the same college experience as someone who goes to a 4-year college or university. And I think that's so true. My experience at a Bible college was drastically different than my friends and other family that have gone to like a 4-year college. Some other thoughts I saw on the poll on the academic side were people saying studying the Bible for a grade can create a negative mindset toward the Bible, or you're often preached to instead of actually taught, which honestly makes sense in some context because a lot of the people who teach within the Bible college are preachers, pastors, teachers. Another thing someone said, which honestly you got to be really careful in attending a Bible college, is they said oftentimes teachers speak opinion as dogmatic truth. You got to be able to discern what is truth from the Bible, from God's word, and what is someone's opinion. For myself, I didn't go to a Bible college for the credentials. If I were doing so, I probably would have gone somewhere that would have given me a degree, like a bachelor's in ministry or theology or something like that. I went because I knew God called me to it, but it definitely is something to consider wherever you decide you're going to go, whatever Bible college, whatever ministry school, whatever it looks like. The academic side is definitely something to consider. And one of the final cons of attending Bible college that I read from the poll was the dating culture. Now let's just talk about it. This is probably one of the most frustrating things within the Christian community. Let me just try and break this down a second. As Christians, we value marriage. We value building families, building strong communities, building church, all these things. I understand the idea of valuing marriage and it being a goal for some people to have a husband or a wife and start a family. Honestly, I believe it's biblical. And I get why a lot of people kind of push that, but a lot of the times it's pushed too far. Dating is not the end all be all. Marriage is not the end all be all. Raising a family is not the end all be all. There are many people in the Bible who lived single lives and they lived fulfilled and healthy and whole lives. I just think there's so much pressure on getting people to date and having people from that dating season jump into marriage way too soon, and it causes issues and problems like myself, my testimony. If you're new, I did a video talking about how I was married and divorced by the age of 22, and I feel like a lot of that had to do with pressures of getting married young. Someone made a comment and said there are underlying pressures that exist. For example, ring by spring. I hear that so often within Bible college settings, within ministry schools, all of that. And this person mentioned in a text to me that it's almost like you failed if you graduated and you didn't come out with a ring or a fiance. I've heard other people make comments like it's called bridal college, not Bible college, which like it's exciting. There's a lot of people who have found their husband, their wife, their families through Bible college. But a lot of the time there are these pressures that are just unhealthy. Heck, you can hardly just go and get coffee with someone without other people making that something bigger than itself. I know people that are secretive about the dates they've been on within Bible college because others will make a big deal about it, or they'll pressure them and ask them questions like, oh, when are you getting married? When are you doing this? Like after the first or second date. Overall, I think it's just unhealthy and something needs to change. There needs to be less pressure on these relationships and on dating. And honestly, people just need to relax. Now, with all that being said, there are cons you can find within almost anything. I do believe there are pitfalls within Bible colleges and ministry schools and churches, and I 100% believe those pitfalls need to be held accountable. My goal in sharing these cons are that hopefully somebody out there will decide to take ownership and say, I can be a part of that change. Maybe somebody working for a Bible college or a ministry school is watching this video right now and is seeing the majority of responses talking about the things that could change within it. Or maybe somebody watching this wants to work for one someday or just wants to attend one. And can I just say, if you're in those shoes, or if you're simply just watching this, you can be a part of changing these cultures. You can be a part of helping get rid of this idea of a bubble. You can be a part of helping change the culture of dating and relationships. You can be a part of helping change the whole academic side to them. So my goal in sharing this is that something would change. People would be encouraged. People would just have some insight and information. And it's not at all to point people away from studying at a Bible college, because I did so myself and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And with that being said, let's move to the positive note. There was an overwhelming amount of pros that people listed from this poll that I want to share today. And the number one response I saw was the community. I cannot stress this enough. I am overwhelmingly grateful for the friends and family that I've received from attending a Bible college. The community is honestly like no other. You will meet lifelong friends in Bible college. I saw a lot of people say that their husband or wife was found in Bible college and now they have beautiful families. Another person said meeting new friends who will pray for you, encourage you, and praise God with you. Accountability, community, constantly being championed. Good Christian community. You get closer to the Lord, get deeper in the Word. Friends that push you towards what God has for you. What I love about the community within a Bible college is you're all headed in the same direction. It may not necessarily be career-wise. It may not even mean geographically. Just in the sense that you all have this one direction. You're headed toward Jesus. You're headed toward living a life that honors and glorifies God. And constantly being surrounded by those kind of people is where you want to be. You're constantly challenged. You're constantly encouraged. Constantly uplifted. I personally felt like I was always pushed to better myself, and you have a whole lot of fun doing it. The amount of memories I've made just at the age of 24 is crazy. I'm truly blessed by the people I have in my life, and I definitely believe that is a pro of attending a Bible college. The second pro I saw from the poll was that you grow in your relationship with God. A reoccurring response I saw from people is that your faith is constantly challenged. You're constantly learning about Jesus. You gain knowledge and increased perspective. You're taking time out of your life to dedicate it to studying the Word and the history of the Bible and what you believe. And another friend reminded me that you learn how to approach Scripture rightly. You learn how to look at texts and read them in their original language and translate them into what we read today. On top of all of that, you're within chapel services and surrounded in atmospheres of worship all the time. Some people said you gain a Christian worldview as your foundation, new knowledge of the Bible and history and how to study it, learning about Jesus all day, every day. It keeps you in His Word. You're learning Bible history, learning how to explain why you believe what you believe. Overall, I really believe my faith was strengthened. My relationship with God was strengthened. I learned so much about Him that I didn't learn previously. I unlearned a lot of things that I learned growing up, and overall just changed for the better. And lastly, this brings me to my third point today. A pro to attending Bible college is you grow as a person. Your way of thinking is challenged. You're constantly around people, like I mentioned, who are pushing you, who are helping you, who are speaking into your life. I really believe that you exponentially grow as a person. The man I was 3 years ago when I started Bible college to the man I am now a year after graduating it are completely different, like night and day different. I really believe I learned who I was. I learned what I like, what I don't like. I learned what I value. I learned what God values. I learned what honors God and all these other things that helped me shape who I am. I learned about the church. I learned that it's not perfect whatsoever. I learned that my pastors are not perfect whatsoever. And overall, it just gave me this massive perspective on my life. I learned that the things I used to want are not the things I want now, and so much more. Some comments were exponential growth in knowledge and self-awareness, growth in emotional maturity, relationship with God, communication. You really learn just so much. And personally, I'm so thankful and grateful for the time I spent at a Bible college. Like I said, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm really grateful for the season God led me into it. And I just pray that if you're somebody watching this and you're considering going to a Bible college or a ministry school, that you'll take the things that were said in this video and carry it with you into that season. I really don't think you can do any wrong going to a Bible college. I always say it's a good in between if you're not sure about what you want to do in your life, but you want to build a firm foundation in your relationship with God, and you want to learn more about the Bible, and you want to learn more about yourself and all these things that were talked about. If that's the case, then it's a great place to be in the meantime until you do figure out the career that you want to walk into. You don't have to want to be a pastor or to work in ministry the rest of your life to go to a Bible college. I think it's incredibly helpful to do so, and then maybe carry what you learn at a Bible college into a different field of study later on in the future. And that is the pros and cons of attending a Bible college from a Bible college graduate. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who submitted answers on the poll on my Instagram page. I really believe it gave me some more insight and probably helped a lot of other people who are considering the idea of going to a Bible college, and I really just enjoyed doing this video. I love sharing things that I've learned or experiences I've had in life, and I love helping other people, so it's a win-win. If you haven't already subscribed, it would mean the world to me if you subscribe to my channel. I'll also be leaving my Instagram and my TikTok in my bio down below. Who knows, maybe I'll do more polls like this in the future and include them in my videos. If this video sparked any questions you have or just things that you'd like to say, please feel free to write them in the comments below. I'd love to read them. But other than that, I hope you have an incredible rest of your week. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye.